Bekky BEUKES.
To speak on the subject of chaos, and chaos drives my process emotionally, physically, and psychologically. So I'm here to share that with you guys today. First, I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself. I am a surviving victim of the human condition. I suffer from chronic transformation, and this is a common side effect of life. I'm also very nervous right now, so in a few minutes my voice will stop shaking, hopefully, and then I will transition out of chaos. Sometimes I paint also, which is why I'm here, being invited. I'd like to mention that my mom is here today, and she's right over here. My mom has always encouraged us to think very freely, my brothers and I. So I have a very organic relationship with light and dark, and it's allowed me to have a good understanding of my own internal chaos from a very early age, and it's inspired my fascination with chaos and the human behavior. I just want a minute, I'm shaking. I'm in chaos right now, internally. Okay, so we set up the room today in a circle because I wanted this to be a very engaging talk. Also, the circle represents chaos as the void, and of course everything is birthed from the void. So it's very dramatic and very fun. And I want you also to know that today I'm hoping that you guys will engage with me throughout the process. It's not going to be a talk where I lecture because I have no idea what I'm talking about. I'm just here sharing my experience with you. So if you have a question at any point, just raise your hand. I'll come over and we can discuss it. So to get that theme of engagement going, I would very much like to know what you guys think about when I say the word chaos. Just throw some words at me.
Beauty.
Fear. Haphazard. Destruction. Disorder. Panic. Inevitable. Very good. Crazy. Couple more.
Random thoughts.
Random thoughts.
Freedom.
Creativity. Wow, now we're turning it. Nice. Just spinning it a little. So I'm not a future teller person, but I imagined that these would be some of the words that you guys were going to come up with. So turmoil, confusion, overwhelmed feelings, general what the fuck, right? So what if I told you guys that I am inspired by chaos? That without chaos, I would have absolutely nothing to say. And if chaos preceded creation, then as an artist, I am bound to it. 5 years ago, I moved here to America, and my entire art career was birthed from chaos. When I moved here, I was undergoing my own personal transition. It was a very chaotic time. I had no plan whatsoever. I was just going to come to America and figure it out, okay? I left behind a country, business, homes, everything I had known for 30 years. So you can imagine I was in a very extreme state of confusion. I was also experiencing emotions of failure, loss, again, general what the fuck. So I decided that living in a perpetual state of depression was going to be boring eventually, and I started simplifying my thought stream to try and remember exactly what it was that made me very happy, and I didn't have to think very long because painting has always been that for me when I was younger. The universe then led me because she thought, this is wonderful. I shall grant you something excellent because you are now wanting to grow and wanting to move forward. So she led me to the Ybor Art Colony in Tampa, where I rented a studio and started painting. Too soon. All right. So what I started discovering was if chaos is the question, surviving it is the answer. So my question was, who am I now? Right? Who am I now? And the answer was, I don't know, but I can paint. So I did that. I painted and painted and painted. And I painted with intention to understand my internal chaos. I wanted to understand this new version of myself, and my process allowed me to do that. This painting is called Resolute. A lot of my titles are emotions that I was experiencing at the time. This is the second painting I did in America. It was me being resolute, accepting the change in my life and accepting my new journey. I was resolute in my decision. Now we go to this one. It's one of my favorite quotes by George O'Keeffe. Art is a form of expression, and at the time I was expressing myself to understand myself. So I find that I could say things with colors and shapes that I couldn't say any other way. And that really is, for me, how it felt, because I was discovering emotions and ideas that I could never have described using words. So this positive effect that chaos had on my life became a beacon for me. And I started understanding that there was something magical about dancing with chaos. And I decided she would become a friend of mine. So the thing about chaos is that while it disturbs us, it too forces our hearts to roar in a way that we secretly find magnificent. And it is no secret that I adore chaos. And that's probably why everybody thought I was a good speaker for this subject. So when I was approached to paint a 100-year-old wall, 90 feet wide, 70 feet above the ground, with no mural experience, during a hurricane, I thought, this is the most ridiculous situation I could be in right now. I will absolutely do this thing. And I was most excited really not about the outcome of the painting, but more about who I would become once it had been completed. The next few slides are going to highlight just quickly my 5 stages of emotion through my process inside of chaos. This is the first slide. Before we do that, because we're going to redefine chaos. So how I began shifting polarities to redefine chaos. So in order to understand chaos and have it be beneficial to me, I needed to redefine it. I needed to give it a new personality, because I don't want to be conditioned to think that being afraid of something should stop you from doing it. So are we going to do the gong gong thing?
Sure, let's do it.
So if everybody can just shift around, we're going to move. Even, I don't care where you move, it doesn't matter. There's no reason for this. Thank you. Absolutely no reason for us to have done that at all. So now we've shifted. This is excellent. And so in order to understand anything in my mind, we have to unpack it. So that is where shifting polarities of anything begins. So you are going to reverse the values. Light becomes dark, dark becomes light. because we're in the process of fully understanding, unpacking so that we can give it a new name. So I'm going to share that with you today. This is the beginning, the dawn, the fresh, exciting opportunity. You are a child on Christmas Eve in this stage of emotion. You're so excited. You have no idea what's going to happen, but you're excited. Immediate regret. This was a terrible idea. Why did I do this? What the fuck? Okay. Reasoning and consequence. This is a period where you go, well, I've got a couple options here, two primary options. I can bail, or I'm going to have to work through this because I think I'm more afraid of failure than I am of this terrifying, daunting 90-foot white canvas in front of me. I realized, okay, well, let me simplify my thoughts again. What is it that I need? I need to get the sketch onto this wall. Is a pencil going to work? Absolutely not. What can I do instead? I'm going to build a paintbrush that is very, very long using this long pole and some of this duct tape and a reasonably sized paintbrush at the very end of it. And I literally had to dip my brush from a distance. So it was like this bizarre activity, but I know how to do it very well now if anybody needs any help with that. The fourth part of the 5 stages is labor. This is where everything happens. Once you've established the consequence and you've reasoned with yourself and you've pulled yourself out of the abyss of depression and anxiety, you now have to do the work. And this actually is the meat of anything that I ever do. So this is where everything happens. This is the execution. This is the test. Another little nugget from my dear mother. She taught us she always used to say, as long as you do your best will be enough. So my best, that's how I used to gauge whether or not I could be proud of the work itself. Wow, I went loud there for a minute. Okay, so I just push myself as far as I can go inside of the chaos, despite the chaos, to get the job done. The final stage is exhale. This is when it's been done, and it's a time of reflection, and it's one of my favorite parts. I actually like the meat the most because it's like the hardest. But this is a good place where you can now ask yourself that question again: who am I now? What did this teach me? Thank you, chaos. Whoop! Too soon, again. So, that led to the development, all these experiences, this understanding, the unpacking, the redefining, the shifting polarities, allowed me to develop my what the fuck wheel. My what the fuck wheel is based on the 5 stages of my creative process and chaos in each one. So now I'm going to just describe chaos's personalities to you based off of these 5 stages. Chaos, the muse. Like I said, this is the beginning. She's given you the inspiration. This is the fresh dawn. This in my process is the initial part where I sketch, and the muse will deliver her message to me. And the thing about the muse is that you have to be ready for her. She can show up anytime she wants, and sometimes she doesn't show up at all. So you got to be ready for it, for the inspiration to flow through you as the vessel, as the artist. Your obligation to your talent is to deliver the message that you receive in these initial stages of inspiration. And I'm inspired by experience. So that's why I have such a good relationship with chaos. The agents of chaos. One second. Cotton mouth thing is real. The agents of chaos, those are all the little demons that tell you, why did I do this? You don't even know how to use aerosol. You're not even a muralist. You only know how to use paintbrushes, and you don't have enough paint. How will you get more paint? You don't even know. It's just terrifying. You've only been painting for 3 years. Your work will never be good enough. There's so many people better than you. blah, 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 all these things. Those are the agents of chaos. And she's not actually a personality of chaos because it's not powerful enough to unnerve you. These can be silenced. And here's how. When you armor up, this is the consequence, the reasoning. This is when you defy chaos, you defy those demons during the process, and you prove them wrong. This is what I like to call a period of mobilization. So I'm getting myself ready for the battle internally, externally. I'm preparing for a show, and it's in 4 weeks, and I haven't even started, but I'm gonna have to figure it out. And so I mobilize. Chaos the tyrant. I don't even need my notes. I'm like way behind here. All right, so Chaos the tyrant. This is you better work, okay? This is the meat, this is the execution, this is where Chaos the tyrant, her major focus towards me is to try to kill me. This is a very real thing. She will not let me eat, she will not let me sleep. She will push me until the job is done, until I have done my best. And every single time it happens, there's a new level of exhaustion that I experience. And it's exhilarating, you know, at the same time, but it's also, it's where you have to be tested. It's how badly do you want this? How much do you need to say this? How important is this to you as a human being? Is this your purpose? Why are you here? And if it is, then I want to see you work. That's what I'm hearing. Chaos, the ally. Again, this is the exhale, this is the end, this is the we did the damn thing phase. This is also where I typically burst into tears. Any of my friends know that I will cry on the night of the show only, not during. That's when I completely allow myself to become human again somehow. Chaos, the ally, is where you learn that you can trust chaos. You can reflect and ask yourself, who am I now? And it means that you're at a point where you've experienced growth, substantial growth, hopefully. Whatever your task was, there's a lesson in it. There was a question and you've answered it, and that to me is success. So chaos becomes your ally. You start to understand that chaos will allow you the tools that you need and be the personalities that you need to push you where you need to go to get to this final point where you're finally done. And you can exhale. And it's been worth it. I put a couple of work in progress shots here that will visually express the muse, the tyrant, and the ally. So it's the beginning, the middle part where you do the work. This is the labor, the meat, and then the result. That's a visual result. You can't put a picture on what the internal result is. It's just that increased fire and passion, which is so rewarding. The muse, the tyrant, and the ally. The muse, the tyrant, the ally. So it's inspired, do the work, silence the agents of chaos, and exhale. I'm going to end off with Friedrich Nietzsche's quote that says, "The meaning and morality of one's life comes from within oneself." Healthy, strong individuals seek self-expansion by experimenting and by living dangerously. The good life is ever-changing, devoid of regret. It's very intense, creative, and risky. And I believe that that is what chaos has allowed me, how chaos allows me to live. Thank you, guys. Do we have any questions? Right in the middle of my what the fuck wheel is a symbol. I don't know if you can see it. I've dulled it down a little bit, and that's probably why I don't remember about it. But this symbol actually is the symbol for chaos, okay? It's a circle with 8 spikes pointing in 8 different directions. And it actually means endless opportunity. So yes, Yes, opportunity. Thank you. The question was, earlier on, he asked, when I asked you guys to express what is chaos, the gentleman actually said opportunity, and after hearing my talk, he understands that him and I are on the same page. Excellent. Yes. I'm going to repeat the question for you.
Okay, so first of all, phenomenal job. That was awesome.
Thank you.
One of my questions is like when I'm personally dealing with chaos, like there's fear of the unknown, of how it will end. So when you're talking about like the chaos, the tyrant, like do you think it's important that you have an end goal, or are you just allowing the chaos to guide you while you're going?
I think you absolutely did. Everybody hear that question? Okay, I think you absolutely have an end goal. I think that it's a, 1 second, I need to drink some more water. My mouth is so dry. So what you're talking about, right, is the fear of the unknown. Okay, that is it's the second stage. It's chaos, the agents of chaos, okay? You first have to reconcile with your mission, that's phase 3, before the tyrant presents herself. You first have to accept and reconcile and reason with yourself past the doubt before you can move forward. And that's when you understand how important that goal is, your vision is, whatever it is. And it will vary according to experience, and it will vary according to situation. So it really depends on how important. Why would you set out to do anything? You set out to do something with a goal in mind, right? Some kind of a result. So does that answer your question? First you have to reconcile with yourself. And that's fun too. Hi.
Thank you. Can you talk a little bit about how do you silence the agents of chaos? Because I find that sometimes that's a space where it takes a while to exit from, to get to the armor part.
For sure. It's a conversation. So you're being attacked internally by yourself. So it's like, that in itself is a bizarre notion, right? But I enjoy that. It's what the fuck. It's your multiple, it's multiple facets fearing a possible or impossible outcome of anything, right? Because you don't know what it is. So you're going to have doubt, because doubt will prevail first before hope or faith does. So in order to silence the agents of chaos, you first must have faith in yourself. And at the end of the day, one of the ways that I silence chaos is I simply get physical. I simply move forward into the space of creation, pick something up, and go. Because it's a form of meditation. In being physical, in the act of creation itself, you are silencing your thought stream. So you automatically separate yourself from that conversation and that internal dialogue. Does that make sense? So if all else fails, and you're not at the stage yet to have a conversation with those agents, get physical. Like, do the damn thing.
Can you talk about your internal, like your actual dialogue where you talk to yourself as a child?
It was private, Tara. Okay, so another thing that I do, I was talking about getting physical when you have to silence the agents. Another way to do it is, and yes, this was something I did mention at Slide. I love these embarrassing moments. I actually will speak to myself like I am a 5-year-old child. I'm not a little ashamed about it. I will say, what is wrong? Let's talk. Okay, so we're okay. Little bit scared of this. Little bit scared. So what is scary about it? Good, excellent. And I'll guide myself through something using a very nurturing tone, because it's always worked. Thanks, Mom. It's teaching yourself something in a very gentle way. I respond very well to gentle, so it depends on you as well. Like, I'm so chaotic, and so when I need to be kind to myself, I take full advantage, and I really am kind to myself in the sense that I treat myself like I am a 5-year-old child who's experiencing something very scary for the first time. And it really does help, because those inner children are not being guided the way that they need to, and you can guide them with kindness. So it's teaching someone how to do shoelaces for the first time. You're going to be very, very patient. So you can be very, very patient with yourself as well during that time. You're going to use whatever means necessary to silence those agents. I'm going to go here first. He's wearing red.
Do you find that you perform better when there is like a chaotic situation with a lot of pressure, or when you just do something?
100% yes. Did everybody hear that question? Do I perform better when it's a chaotic situation? Yes. 100% yes. Because the learning is that much greater for me. The harder it is, the better the reward is going to be. And I know that I'm going to change dramatically. And really, for me, that is important. To become the best version of myself. To be able to share that with people like you, like today, and encourage a community where we're all doing it as well. So when I can learn something so valuable, it typically will come from something so difficult, with so much pressure. Because at the end of the day, in order to build trust with chaos, I must first trust myself, right? I am chaos. So when I do something impossible and I've shown myself I can do it, that means I trust myself more for the next thing. Does that make sense, guys? Kind of, a little bit? Cool. I have to go here. Sorry.
Can you talk a little bit about the time from when you said you remembered as a child you loved painting, and then when you moved here you were 30? So what was happening between that initial love and the rediscovery that, what was going on in that gap?
From the age of
Well, not
5 to 30? Well, how much time have you got?
just to say that the way you described it sounded as though you weren't painting as much before you moved, and you had to rediscover that. So I'm just curious, what was, why not?
Gotcha. I went to fashion school. I went through school. The last time I painted was when I was at school. We call it matric. I don't know what that means here, but you're 18 when you finish. So that's the last time I painted. I then embarked on a creative career, but not painting. I used my creative abilities to build a regular career, right? I'm gonna not be an artist because I'll starve. So I became a fashion designer and I opened up a fashion house, and I was that for 10 years before I moved here. And then when I moved here, I was unable to work because I immigrated for 1 year before I got my papers, and that's when I started painting, and painting was never going to be anything other than my recovery. And I think that's why it has ended up being such an honest execution, an honest visual. You're welcome.
So you spend a lot of time in chaos, and that's where your art and your passion and everything resides and comes out of. Is it important to take a step away from chaos at all? Is it possible to sustain in chaos permanently?
That's a good question. Did everybody hear that question? Is it important to step away from chaos, or am I in a state of perpetual chaos all the time? Right? So yes, it's very important to step away from chaos. I don't use chaos. Chaos is kind of like ammunition. I can't, if I'm not trying to achieve something, typically the situation won't be chaotic. So it is important in everything, in every part of your life, to have balance. Of course it is. It will give you the fuel to be at the level you need to be when you're going to war with your chaos. You first need to refuel. You do need to take moments outside of chaos. I do not enjoy being inside of chaos all the time. I love it for what it is, but it's very important that I do step away from it and refuel and go get those donuts and those milkshakes. Yeah.
One, I wanted to say how grateful I am to hear this, because I had this move when I moved to the U.S. Oh God, I'm crying. Yeah, no, I'm good. But no, like I moved here 4 years ago, and I moved from Chile, and then now I'm doing that big move to Germany in 2 months. And so like hearing this, I'm just like, wow, okay, I feel like this a lot. I wanted to know, what was your opportunity, or what was that challenge that you might have said no to? And what was that experience for you? And, you know, like, how
What
did that,
would
like,
I have said no
yeah.
to?
What was that, like, one project that you had that you said
Every single project I want to say no to. Every single thing.
Yeah.
100%, because it's always, I know already the work that is going to be required of me. I already know what's coming. But because I've established this relationship with chaos, I say yes. Because I know that as much as it's going to be difficult, as much as I might not want to do it, or I don't have the time, I'll find a way, because I've been through it and I understand chaos. Does that make sense? I'm prepared.
Yeah. You're like, you know what? This is me. This is who I am. And
Right, we're going to do it.
figure it out.
We don't want to do it, but we're going to do it. I don't know where else, I don't know who was first anymore at this point. Sorry, guys.
So you talked about like chaos as a muse and how it kind of comes when you least expect it. You just have to be ready. Have you ever had a time where you felt like you had to kind of incite chaos or like make it happen?
No, I haven't. And because every day presents something, right? Okay, you wake up and you're in chaos because what the hell is going to happen today? You don't know. It's so real. It doesn't have to be dramatically chaotic. You're going to lose a leg. It's just being alive, really, okay? From one minute to the next, making the right choices. The very pressure of making the right choices feels chaotic, right? It's just how it is. But no, I've not had to incite chaos. I think it has awarded me with enough on its own. I've never had to poke the bear. But it is a good question. And I've had so much drought in my creative career already in the 4 or 5 years that I've been doing this, where I would love to incite chaos or something because I just want to create and I can't. And it's like you're not able to feed your kids. It's the most awful feeling when you have that block, when the muse is pissed off with you. She doesn't want to talk to you today. So does that answer your question? Okay. Yep.
I feel like creatives have like a benefit of being able to dive into this cyclone of chaos that people who choose more structured day-to-days, like scientists or engineers or architects, have kind of a, you know, something that's helping them move through the chaos in a more linear way rather than in this cyclical creative way. How do you see creatives like finding that structure for themselves?
Okay, so that's an interesting question, and I'm going to try and answer it the best way that I can, and I'm going to use my idea of how a creative solves a problem and how a the academics, the scientists, those people they're trying to find the answer, they're trying to find the solution. Creatives are driven by emotion, typically. So we're more focused on expression. So in expressing, there really is no linear for that because we're dealing with the human aspect. So science is a lot easier in the sense that you can be structured because you're dealing with facts. And those are proven. I don't know what I'm going to feel like in 5 minutes time from now. So if you're trying to track my emotion to come up with some kind of a structure or a thesis or an understanding, it's impossible. And we're talking about every single human in this world. So like, it's impossible to try and compare the scientific linear way to understand chaos and the emotional way. Does that answer your question? So like for me, my structure is having developed this understanding of it. That to me is my scientific understanding of my own emotions. But they're so variable, at least I have some kind of a guideline that I can be like, we're in the stages of tyrant now, or whatever, and I'm okay with it at that point. If I didn't have those understandings of it, I would be freaking out all the time, and we would all be in a lot of danger. Yeah.
When did you stop existing in that cycle, and when did you understand what that cycle was?
So that's the beginning of my life here was the beginning of these understandings because it was the first time I had to redefine myself since my early 20s. because my life had gone a specific way until I turned 30. So I didn't have to focus on understanding my emotions, or that it wasn't an important thing for me to understand who I was then. I mean, I thought I knew who I was. It wasn't until something catastrophic happened that I realized I had no idea who I was anymore. And that was terrifying. And so it was very important for me to redefine that relationship with myself. And I was using, it was chaos was the catalyst for that understanding.
Where's your peace? Where do you find peace?
In the studio with paintbrush. Yeah.
Yeah, do you have any advice for the armor up stage? Like that was verbalized, right?
Yeah, we might. That's phase 3. That's when we're silencing our demons. We're silencing the agents that they're telling we can't do this. So my advice would be, depending on, I think the question was similar over here. She asked me, how do I armor up, right? So, yeah, how do you silence those agents of chaos? So again, it's going to be very dependent on who you are as a person, right? You can get physical. You can actually just get to it and do the job, or you can speak to yourself like a 5-year-old child and nurture your way through. So those would be the two, that's what I understand, those are my experiences. So like I use those 2 tools to armor up, and I reason with myself, and I just go, pick your weapons, we gotta go. It's battle time. So yeah.
So mine isn't necessarily a question, but I'm kind of piggybacking off of your question about where do you find your peace. You asked that question and then you answered it, Becky, and my stomach kind of dropped, but in a really good way, because I think that oftentimes the thing that gives us chaos is also what gives us peace, and there's something really important there.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's how come I have such a huge respect for chaos, and I will allow it in my life every single time because of how it makes me appreciate those moments where I am able to find that peace. It's the light and dark, it's duality, it's life in itself. Everything has to have an opposite, okay? So if you want to be happy, you got to get freaking scared, people.
What's your artistic process like? Do you have a specific inspiration for each piece? Do you sketch out what you're planning?
Yeah, I'll go through this. I think I rushed through that, so let me just, my artistic process is within the 5 stages. The muse arrives with a present of lovely ideas, and I will sketch, and I'll start to write out ideas. Typically, I will put a body of work together that is a collection of work that tells a story. So each piece is relative to the other, and it's important for me because I need all the answers to this situation. Okay, so I'll sketch out a theme and I'll create a body of work, and then I'll go into production on that. The beginning stage is always very difficult, but they're also very exciting, and it's where I get to really say something. From young, when I knew that I had this creative talent, I knew that I would want to use it to say something, because I have a platform, I have an opportunity to say something. I do not want to just sit and paint pictures and be done with it. There's a reason that exists. So every single piece of work is intentional, and it is an answer to something, and hopefully it's relatable to the audience, that they can learn something. Maybe it's a question that they've asked that they didn't know how to answer, and it's there for them. Does that make sense? Yes, Chris.
So my question is, I understand like the idea of harnessing chaos like in the studio, sort of riding this lightning creative wave that's coming, and you're, things are going wrong, and you're using those as sort of fuel to create the work. But do you also find that in your personal life that you want to alleviate chaos, so that when you're in the studio, you're not thinking about, oh, I forgot to do this, or I said this thing to this person, or for me, like I need to be able to be in the studio and be fully with the muse.
Absolutely.
So I think maybe like for people, that sort of this distinction between killing chaos in your life, so that when you're creative.
And that's why when she asked me, when Tony said, I think as well, and I had a similar question earlier, do you want chaos in your life all the time? No. And Chris has just pointed something out as well, and I take advantage of the fact that as an artist, yes, we rely on it for the creative process, but I absolutely do not want that chaos to be in my life. And here's why, not because I don't like chaos, it's because I need that energy for when I'm creating. So when I'm doing my life things, that part of it needs to be smooth so that I'm not wasting any kind of additional energy on chaotic situations in my personal life. So I don't know if that answers your question, but it's certainly not something that is addictive for any other reason than the result in a creative environment.
Yeah.
So like,
kind of like if you have chaos in your life,
right, no,
it's hard to. Yeah.
exactly. So when it does arrive, and it will arrive in your life, that's where it comes from, right? It doesn't just come, oh, here, this is for art. No, it's like, you're in chaos, what shall I do with this? I'm going to move it here, harness it to the creative process, make something from it. But I don't want it to linger in the personal life. That's why I'm removing it. I'm removing it and taking it with me to the studio so that it doesn't exist in my life, in my home, in my car, on the beach. It's for the studio. So when it does come, it doesn't linger there. It's for the studio. I'm using that power for something bigger than me, if that makes sense. Does that make sense? Does that answer your question?
Can you continue on that theme and talk maybe about one of your collections, maybe Black and Gold, how you have the concept and then you said you work on it?
Right. The best collection to use is the debris collection, which I don't have on the slides. I do have it on the website, but it's fine. All right, so you want me to just go through the process of the full story? So, for example, I created, damn it, I wish I had the slides. I created a collection called Debris. This collection, to me, I was inspired by, so this is answering a couple of questions and just hitting home. This collection was inspired by the hero's journey, right? And it's something that I have experienced, and it's another way to define chaos, because I'm sure everybody has experienced chaos and gone, how the hell do I understand this? So that I can be prepared. So the hero's journey, to me, inspired my collection called Debris, for those of you that saw it. So this collection was inspired by the hero's journey. And I started understanding, and actually it was a continuum of like understanding chaos and being able to express it through the work. So for me, in this particular case, it wasn't necessarily my wheel of what the fuck. It was more an understanding of the battle itself. So the battle is part of it. So I was honing in on what the battle looks like, the internal battle looks like. So the first painting of this series is this one here, Poison. So it's the thing that hurts you, the thing that you're confused about, what has overwhelmed you, what is the tragedy, what is the poison. It's sitting in front of you, okay? That was that painting. I was trying to understand that serpent. The poison is then defeated through battle. So Battlefield, here, it's a very big painting. Looks very small. It's very big. Battlefield was inspired by internal chaos, light versus dark. We got two birds. They're also like bird, dragon, snake things, which is my own personal creation. And they're fighting, and the girl's in the middle, and she's almost decaying, right? So to me, I was basing this off the parable of what the wolf that wins is the wolf that you feed, okay? So depending on your chaos, you can, like I said, go two ways. You can feed the good wolf, or you can stay here and be depressed. So it's the light and dark. It's understanding your demons, and it's understanding your good things too. And it's always going to play out, guys. You're always going to have that internal dialogue. It's much more easy to do the wrong thing than it is to do the right thing, because we're humans and we've been cursed. Sorry if that's morbid, but it's the truth. So it's lifting the curses through understanding your internal battle. So battlefield, so you've been poisoned, you go to war, and then after the war there is debris. So this painting, how did I do this? This painting is debris. It's 7 faces. It's everything that's left after the fact, okay, after the battle. It's the proof that there has been war here, okay? It's the proof of destruction. It's the beginning of the cleanup, right? The internal cleanup. Okay, cool, we've been to war, we've established this thing. I think we won, not quite sure. We're gonna figure it out. Debris is everything that's left behind. Ghost is the past. Ghost is what haunts you always, will never stop haunting you. It's the debris of the battle. It's the memory, and it's also the learning. It's the resolution phase. It's the understanding. Is this making sense? You guys can tell me to stop if I'm not making sense. That was big. That was bold. What do you want to... Are you understanding? No? No one said stop. He's gone, disappeared. Okay. Poof. And then the final piece is Phoenix. Phoenix is the Phoenix rising. It's the achievement. It's the new beginning. It's the beginning of a new end, actually. That's what it is. Because everything is going to cycle through and finish. And that was the collection that I put together, a body of work with one message. It was the underlying theme. So when you talk about putting together work and how I'm inspired and what my process looks like, this is the result of that. So it's building that story, then executing it, and then having a message. We good? One more question.
You keep bringing up space and how you were in your studio when you first came here, and then you keep saying like you can go to the studio, and that's what is the importance of having your space?
How would it have felt for you if when you were growing up you had to live in the kitchen? If that kitchen was your bedroom. Totally out of place, right? You need your privacy, you need your space for your things that belong to you. And that's your sacred environment, your bedroom, your home. It's just a space that you have an energy of trust, and you and yourself have been through things in that space that gives you some kind of, it gives you the inspiration that you need. It's like going home. It's like that I belong here feeling, right?
What is your refueling process, if you will? Like when you're done with everything, what do you do to kind of regain that energy?
First I will have an emotional breakdown, and then I will spend time with people that are important to me. That's how I refuel. People that I love and trust, and they fuel me. Whatever that is. I know she wants me to stop. I can feel it. So I'm going to do it. Thank you so much, guys. That was awesome.